Welcome, everyone. You're listening to the Dateable AF podcast because women dating women is wild, wonderful, and occasionally a disaster. I am one of your hosts. I'm Dr. Sarah Kyle, a therapist in private practice.
And I am your co-host, Rachel Howell, a researcher extraordinaire.
Have you ever stared at your phone for 20 minutes just trying to figure out if, hey, how was your weekend, is flirting or just polite? Why does swiping feel like a part-time job where no one pays you and everyone ghosts you? Why does answering, what are you looking for, feel like a pop quiz you're destined to fail?
Well, today we're going to talk about some of the pitfalls of the apps, as well as ways you can feel better about the process and hopefully have a more successful outcome.
Yes, we want you all to have a more successful outcome. I have heard so many people, both in my private practice and in my personal life, just complaining about the brutality of the dating apps.
I love the title of this episode. It's perfect. Lesbian Dating on the Apps, where Hope and Sanity Go to Die.
I have really seen that people just get so hopeless and they feel crazy trying to do this dating process on the apps. Why do you think it's so hard?
Well, the first question I have is, how can the dating app, do you know anyone that has had a good experience on the dating apps?
I know a handful of people who have met their partners on a dating app. Most of that happened many years ago. I don't know any recent people who have met on an app and are having success with it, but it's a small sample, so I can't say that that's, true across the board.
Well, it's so interesting because I hear so much complaining about the dating apps, and I do know a few people that have found successful relationships on the dating apps, and speaking particularly about women meeting their female partners.
Yes.
But the vast majority of folks really hate the process. And even those, I think, who have found partners hate the process, which is what we're going to talk about today, is just how to make that better, how to make that bitter pill
a little easier to swallow. Yes. I think that the point you brought up about women having a hard time is important because the apps, most of them are not designed for women. There is one app that's specific to women, or one well-known. There are probably other smaller ones, but the app Her is dedicated to women. I don't think it's really taken off that well here. I don't know a lot of folks that have used that. The other apps are designed for heterosexual couples to meet each other, but they do have sections where women can meet other women.
Yeah, that is, I was listening to the woman from Bumble on a podcast with Meghan Markle.
Whitney Wolfe. Mm-hmm. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was very interesting, actually, because she was talking about why she founded Bumble in the first place, and she had left Tinder and started Bumble. And the essence of it was that she really wanted to put women in the driver's seat for themselves. Yes. And I love the concept. But to your point, I still think that our people are very secondary on most of the apps. We're an afterthought. We're an additional thing that they think they need to add so that they cover all the groups and opportunities.
Yes, for sure.
So today, I think it's going to be a fun discussion about, one, the things that we've learned along the way from our friends.
Yes, for sure.
And also, hopefully, we'll share some pearls of wisdom with you guys out there that will make this a better opportunity for you. And, Sarah, you talked about, I love this quote about how to create your best profile, is putting your best foot forward, just making sure it's your foot.
Yes, it's so true. And this doesn't mean your foot from 20 years ago. It's so interesting to watch this process. If you put a picture on your profile that does not look like you, and maybe it is you 20 years ago or 20 pounds ago, or when your hair was a different color. What do you think is going to happen when you meet that person live in real life? They're going to know what you look like.
Immediately.
Immediately. And if you don't look like your picture, they've already made a notation that you're not being totally honest. So I think it's best to just show your best current self right now as you are. Don't try to find the most flattering photo of yourself from your college days and present that as today.
I just laugh. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier today, and I asked because I wasn't sure if you could add multiple photos on dating apps.
You can.
And you can. So today I'm in our episodes. So last episode I was showing my sporty spice side, and I had on a very cute little Nike jacket and had a little sporty spice thing going on. That's one side of me. And today, if you guys can't see, I have lipstick on. I'm representing my lipstick lesbian side. Yes.
So femme.
Yes, so that people can see that there are two sides to me.
So if this were a dating profile, what you're saying is you want us to get all the parts of you in this podcast.
Well, I think it's actually, yes. I think that now I do have one complaint, and I hope that you single hot lesbians out there are not judging me about these, because they are jacking with my wig and I do not want to be judged.
The headphones are just a necessary part.
It is.
You cannot have your best hairdo with the headphones on.
I promise I look good when these are off and my wig looks nice.
I can vouch for that. You do. You look amazing without those headphones on. So single ladies, start lining up. Here she is.
Yeah. The other fun thing is thinking about what you divulge about yourself.
Yes.
And I like your comment about divulging something that is a little bit disclosing, but don't overshare. And
right.
And needless to say, the pics that, don't picture yourself naked in any way. That
oh my God.
No.
No. And what you're saying about yourself, if you over disclose, is that you don't have good boundaries, and you don't want to lead with that for sure. Let's just stick with the pics for a second. It is really important to have a trusted friend look over your pictures. We aren't objective about ourselves. And if you're focused on, let's say you're focused on the fact that your nose is too big, you're going to look for the pictures in which your nose looks the smallest, because that's what you want to emphasize. Your friend is looking at you as a whole, and they're wanting to showcase you in your most flattering light, and they're more objective. So have some friends look over your pics to help you find the ones to put up there on your profile.
That's a great suggestion. I like it. And what about the idea of sharing?
Yes. So sharing, you want to say something that's true about yourself, maybe a quirk. If you like a particular kind of music that's maybe off the beaten path, you might say that. If there's a particular kind of food that you love, you want to say something that's true and genuine and maybe sets you apart from other people in some way. Even if it's a little bit quirky or a little bit vulnerable, those are the things that are going to grab someone's attention.
Can I give an example of that?
Yes.
I'll just go ahead and do that with myself.
Yes.
Is that I love to dance. I love all types of dancing.
Yes.
And I love to country dance with women. And most women don't lead, and I do, but I lead with a follow. And that is.
Can you say more about what that means for those who might not be country western dancers?
Yes, it means that for those of us that grew up in a time where we learned to dance with men, then you use the follow hand.
Which is your right hand.
Right hand.
Goes out and your left hand goes on your partner's back. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And since that's the way I learned to dance, when I finally got to dance with women, I did not think about switching to the lead position with my left hand. Mm-hmm. So everyone that dances with me and they want me to lead, I do lead, and they just have to accept that I lead with a follow.
But if people are watching from the outside, it looks like the other person's leading.
And some women like that.
Yes, we could delve into that at a later time.
The dominatrix thing.
You're dominatrix, but you appear submissive on the surface.
Oh.
I like it. So that would be like a fun thing to put in your profile, that I like to dance, I like to lead, but I lead from the follow position. So I think that's a great example. We've told you guys this in previous episodes, but when Rachel and I started Get Dateable, we had some beta test groups of singles coming through. And one of the women in our group is smart. She is funny. She's just got a great sense of humor. She's a good conversationalist. And when we saw the pictures that she was putting up of herself online, we were mortified because she looked like she had pulled a shirt out of the bottom of her laundry basket, and she looked like she hadn't washed her hair in about a month. And she wasn't smiling. And I thought, no one is going to look at that profile picture and want to date her because she's not putting her best foot forward. She's actually not an unattractive woman, but she just wasn't presenting herself in the most favorable light. So we had to give her a little coaching about that.
And you did a great job of describing that. And it's a very difficult conversation to have because you don't want to feel like you are being critical of someone's appearance. Right. Again, I think you've said it over and over again. Just bring the best of you forward.
Yes.
And that's good. That's
grooming
enough.
And hygiene. Those two things are just so basic. And this woman, it didn't feel like I even wanted to criticize her appearance. She's cute. And she just didn't present herself in the best way in her profile because she didn't look like she groomed herself very well, and she didn't look like she had very good hygiene. And meeting her in person was better. You got more of a sense of her personality, but those were things that she needed to shore up in order to snag a date.
And if you're meeting someone in a party or in person, that in real life, then you can probably get by with that better because you actually you get a chance to show yourself, and somebody may overlook that. But if app dating is what you're doing, then it's your shot. I mean,
it's the first thing people see is your picture. So you gotta step it up.
Yeah.
Or do something that grabs people's attention. That doesn't mean making yourself look a way that you don't look normally, but it means, do something that presents you in a favorable light, because that's all they've got to go on if you're just meeting on the apps.
And data does show that whether people want to admit it or not, they do naturally swipe based on looks first and the content second.
Yes, for sure. Even women. I think we think that men do that more, but women actually do that as well. That if you see someone and you don't really like how they look, you are probably not going to go forward with it.
And as we continue to talk about exes and people that we know and experiences we've had, should we just call them all Monique?
Yes, I love that. So anybody that we're talking about, it's going to be Monique from here forward. I like it. So that woman I was just telling you about from our Dateable beta test group, guess what her name was? Monique.
It's Monique.
Yes. It's kind of a sexy name. I like it.
I just call her Monique. I have some friends that are going to get a good laugh out of this because that name is a joke for all of us. So,
perfect.
But it's a good one.
I like it. If Joe were picking for me, she would have picked Veronica because she's always been sad that she's a girl named Joe. And she wishes her mom had named her something different. And when I asked her when we were first dating what she wishes her name was, she said Veronica because she thinks that's a really hot name.
She's not a Veronica.
Well, maybe we could include Veronica and Monique as our two names of real people with imaginary names that we're making up.
I like it.
Okay, awesome. On that note, we were talking about how to put your best foot forward, and we were talking about presenting yourself in the most attractive light. We've covered this a little bit before, but who you find attractive isn't always the same as who you're attracted to. And I think this, kind of flows naturally from how you present yourself in your photo. But we have a friend, her name is Monique, and
she's prolific.
Monique, yes, and she has many different looks over the years. But Monique is not someone that you would find classically attractive. She's not a fit girl. She is doesn't have a great hairstyle. She just, her features are not what you would call classically beautiful. And so if you saw a photo of her on the app, you might swipe past her. But if you meet her in person, she is charismatic. She's a great dresser. She's got really good style. She makes good eye contact. She has great social skills. So she really pulls you into conversations. She is someone that if you just saw a picture, you might just blow right past her. But if you met her in person, she would probably pull you in because of her magnetism.
And that's actually a good lead into getting into in real life as quickly as possible.
Yes.
That is it is just the best chance you have is if you think you're interested, move your opportunity off the apps and then move it into a very safe and quick environment, cup of coffee, a short visit, Sarah,
what is it with coffee dates? There are whole articles written about this, and I hear mostly from women who date men, but it probably occurs with women who date women. People are opposed to having a coffee with someone. They're like, that's cheap. Or I don't want someone who's going to spend $5 on me. It's like, are you nuts? Why would you want to invest more than $5 in, or more than 1 hour in meeting someone you've never met before? You don't know who this person is. Do something that's low barrier to entry. And if you like them, then plan the $200 dinner.
Man, I was on a call with a friend of mine from California the other day. She actually is married to the person she met through apps. And she said, hey, app dating is a job. It's a second job. And you have to commit to it. And she said the first number of years that she was doing it, she would plan an outing and then leave it open-ended as to how long they would spend time together. And she said, I would spend, sometimes we were getting along, we were connecting, and we would stay there for 4 hours. And then I would think it went really well, and I would walk away, and we never connected again. I would get ghosted or just, didn't hear from them again. And she learned the hard way. She said, no, she said, you just need to make a hard and fast rule for yourself that
first dates are short and
make
low
them short.
Investment.
Yes. And she said, you get in, and if you're having a great time, then it's a great opportunity for both people to connect at the next,
that's when
and have a second date.
Yes. Yep. So all of these things, getting in real life as quickly as possible, you'd never think it's going to happen to you, but people can be whoever they want to be on the apps. They can present themselves however they want to present themselves. You honestly don't know if that's their real picture, if that's really them texting you. So get in front of them, get in person, have a real face-to-face conversation, see what the chemistry feels like between the two of you. And if you like them, then do something that takes more of your time and or more money.
We've talked often too about who pays for the date.
Yes.
And when you're getting coffee with somebody, that's just an easy thing. You meet somebody for the first time. If you set up the coffee and you want to buy them a coffee, it's no big deal. That's an easy lift. Or if it just seems simple for both people to pay for their coffee, that's fine too.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure we will have a whole future episode about who pays for the date, because that's it's less fraught with women who date women because there's not a gender role expectation about who's going to pay. But I would say, just out of courtesy, whoever invites the other person to the date, it's nice to pay. But if you get in that situation, it's good to volunteer. It's good to offer to pay. And if the person who invited you wants to buy your dinner or buy your coffee, then sure, it's okay to let them do that. But don't assume that someone else is going to pay for you, especially when you don't know them. Why would someone fork over money to buy you a meal or even a coffee if they don't know you?
I'm not sure if the whole idea of expectations around spending a lot of money on somebody on a first date is as prevalent in women dating women as it
I think
is
you're right.
in the women dating men.
Yeah, I am amazed at how, even with really progressive people, those gender stereotypes still stand, that women believe men should buy them a nice dinner on the first date. Yeah. So I'm glad that's one thing we don't have to contend with. So I do appreciate that.
Earlier, just a few minutes ago, you were talking about sort of who you're attracted to. Mm-hmm. And we just mentioned that people think, actually, and it was a really interesting study I read where when women were asked what they most pay attention to on apps, they said that they paid attention to whether somebody's nice, honest, that sort of thing. In reality, when they were actually interviewed in a different way, it's not that. Their first look is whether or not there's a draw to some physical appearance.
Yes.
And so that leads us into this whole idea of how you bring forward your other gifts when you're app dating. It's very hard to do when it's all based on words and pictures.
Yes, for sure. And thinking about even something like the energy that comes through in a photo. If you're sitting in front of a white background with a death stare, that's probably not presenting your best self, but show yourself doing something dynamic, or show yourself with a big smile on your face, or maybe even laughing or participating in an activity that you like to participate in, so that the person gets a sense of you. If what you like is reading books, then show a picture of yourself, cuddled up with a book. Then someone gets a sense that you're not out partying at the bars. You're the person who's going to be home with a book. But if you like sports, take a picture of yourself looking like you looked in our show last week, looking like Sporty Spice.
And of course, so many of you play pickleball, I'm sure. So I do think it's appealing if you show both your fun side, a hobby side, and then you show that you also, if you have it, that's another thing. If you have another side to you, that's the ability to, go out to a nice restaurant, look nice, just not being afraid to show that you have. I think it's appealing when people have multiple sides,
different sides, for sure.
Not Sybil-like, not much the personality.
not quite that diverse, but yeah,
multiple sides.
I didn't want to move on too quickly from the pickleball thing, because I don't know if you know this about me, but I did win second place in a tournament one time. So if I were on the apps, I would for sure put the picture of me with my paddle and my medal, because that would show that I am in fact a Sporty Spice.
She actually does have a little sporty side to her. She doesn't strongly own it. Although I will say this, that she gets mortally offended if people hit the ball at her. She is not happy.
That's not how we
not
play.
Happy about that.
No, I cried on the pickleball court one time because somebody kept smashing the ball at me.
And you marched off, didn't you? Took your paddle.
I had to go home. I started crying. I had to go home. Well, to be fair, that was also before I started taking hormones.
I was going to say.
There was a combination of factors going on there. I'm all better now.
Better,
but actually, my example would be of what not to do, because I am actually not a ball sports kind of person. And so if I showed a picture of myself with my medal, I would definitely be misleading people as to my pickleball abilities.
That's a great example of misleading.
Like, wow, this girl's really good at pickleball. She won a tournament. Nope, just kidding.
But a question for you is, would you potentially put a video in of you speaking Spanish?
Maybe. That is, my two favorite things that I do are I love to speak Spanish and I love CrossFit. So I would probably put something, I might not put a video of myself speaking Spanish, but I might just throw a little Spanish language reference into my profile. And I would also put something of me looking strong, lifting some heavy weights.
I would highly recommend both of those things.
Perfect. Well, unfortunately, or fortunately, actually, I'm not getting on the apps anytime soon. So my wife would not be happy about that.
Well, speaking of your wife and this idea of who you, I think you should share the kind of girl that you really like the look of versus the kind of girls that you have been with.
Yes, I do feel like do we need to keep bringing this up?
Yeah, I think we do. I'm going to share too.
Okay. Well, who I'm attracted to are people who have good energy for sure. I'm attracted to people who have a little bit of an edge, who are outgoing. But when I look at pictures of people or when I see someone across a room and I'm like, oh, she's cute. It is always those women who have a teenage boy look about them, who look kind of athletic and they usually have short hair. And yeah, I like girls who look like teenage boys. And my wife is definitely not that. She does not look like a teenage boy. No. And I'm super attracted to her. So obviously there's not just one kind of person that I'm attracted to.
And that's the point, is that if you really are so firm and restrictive around this physical thing that you love, I think you should give that a lot of thought, because I also don't think that, I think we're most of the time attracted to a lot more and we don't realize it.
Yes.
And I'll speak for myself in that people, my friends around me that are always asking me about who I'm dating, and then they want to see pictures or they know them. Mm-hmm. And they say to me, girl, I wouldn't begin to know how to set you up on a date because you are all over the map.
Yeah, you have dated women with lots of different looks.
These women don't, and I will tell you that I like a big sexy brain. That's a high just this good energy with confidence and a big sexy brain, which has taken me all over the place with women.
It comes in a lot of different packages, as your dating history would attribute.
Yes, it would. I'm not going to put all my Moniques up there.
I was going to say there are lots of Moniques in your portfolio.
Hey. No, I did. Another more personal example of this is that the one woman that I have actually really, that I was extremely drawn to, did not look anything like what I would have if you had asked me to give you a profile of the woman that I would love to go out with. She did not look like that. And she captivated me on every level. And
so how do you explain that?
Big sexy brain, confidence, just also, honestly, she was willing to step forward towards me in ways that I have not. I find women, again, we used this term before, to be cagey, or they're scared to just come forward if they feel something. If they are interested in you, just put it out there. And she was very forthright with me, she courted the hell out of me. And so it was amazing until yeah.
That's for a future episode.
That's right. It was lovely.
But there was something about that attraction that, like you said, it wasn't someone you would have thought you would be physically attracted to. And she ended up being, super attractive to you.
Yes. And her ability to hold conversation. She was curious, just had all of those great elements. And, and it's a huge draw, which again leads us to not wasting your time on folks that don't have some of the main elements that need to be in place for you.
Yes, screening people out. How do you decide who you're going to screen out, especially if you're on the apps?
So what are some of the big ones, Sarah, that you feel like you would just not want to waste time on?
I think the apps are actually, this is a positive thing I will say about the apps, is that they are designed to help with this, because you don't have to meet someone at a party and spend the whole night talking to them to find out about the big things. And what I would say are politics. Someone having opposite politics from you could be a reason to screen them out. Someone's habits, you might find out a little bit more about that from the apps. Someone's religious views or lack thereof might be a deal breaker for you. Whether someone has children or wants children. So some of those are really big issues that people have to answer about on their profile right away. So you can say, oh, you have 2 toddlers at home. I'm not down for raising kids. Or, hey, I know I really want kids. So if you've already said you don't want them, so let's not bother wasting our time. What happens in these cases is that if you don't screen people out, you might end up falling in love with someone and then having a hurdle that you can't get past.
I've heard, and again, this is I think more of a heterosexual thing, as women being reticent to put on the apps that they have kids out of feeling protective of their kids.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much that happens with women trying to date women, but for sure, there are a lot of lesbians out there raising children. And that, again, there are many ways that you cannot expose your child to danger and still be honest about the fact that you have them.
That
you cannot hide them in the closet.
That is not something to spring on someone on the second date or third date. Yeah. Yep.
No.
I think another important thing that we let slide sometimes is really paying attention to the words and the actions and whether they line up. Like thinking about, if someone says, hey, I'll give you a call tomorrow, do they call you tomorrow? And it doesn't really matter what the timing of that is. Like, maybe they say, hey, I'm going to be out of town. I'll call you next Wednesday. But do they call you on Wednesday when they said they would? Those little things, those things that seem little right now actually can give you a window into the big things and whether they're good at follow through or good at keeping their word.
Yes, and yes. And again, that means that someone is secure in themselves. They're also secure in putting forward that they're interested in connecting with you again, even if you're not, they're just not going to spend time worrying about whether or not you're going to respond to that.
Yes.
And I think women are finding they're just overthinking it all way too much. You need to be yourself and communicate in the style in which feels good and comfortable to you. And if you're a healthy person, that should be good enough.
Yes. And someone may not respond right away. That is not a sign that they're not interested. It's a sign that they have a life and that they're not sitting by their phone waiting for you to text them. That is actually a green flag, not a red flag.
And yes. And again, if you're just trying to connect on the apps immediately, I don't know why you wouldn't just bring that forward and say, I really enjoyed it. And I'm going to be out of town on work and I won't be able to talk, but I would love to reconnect with you again when I get back in town. So I will.
Yes, for sure. Or someone like me who I'm in session with clients all day. And if you text me in the middle of the day, I'm not going to text you back right away. That has nothing to do with whether I like you or whether I want to follow up with you. It just means I'm busy and I have a life. So the thing I would say about this is that you want to trust patterns, not what people say, and not things that are like a one-off, because sometimes the wrong people say the right things and pull you in. And then sometimes the right people say the wrong things or they make a mistake. So you want to give someone grace for making a mistake. You also don't want to ignore a pattern that you see that's dishonest or not reliable or something like that.
All of these things require you to know yourself.
Yes.
I think takes us back to the beginning of really understanding yourself, spending time with yourself, knowing yourself well enough that you pick up on those things, that you notice them, and that you don't ignore them if they feel weird or uncomfortable.
Because what happens is we have all the information up front about someone almost all the time. And what we do is we selectively pay attention to the things we want to believe. If someone has a pattern of their words and actions not lining up, we will ignore that or screen that out if it's someone we like and we want to believe we can move forward with.
And that also ties into the bad behavior that is on the apps.
So rampant.
Yeah. And I just to say this, app dating is the most prolific form of dating right now for most people.
Yep.
There's also a tremendous amount of research that's telling us that people are not enjoying it. And I think if I remember some of the studies that I was looking at, there's up to 30% decrease in app usage across, and I think maybe it was for 30 and over folks, not just women to women, but in general. So, and I know just recently listening to the Bumble folks, their stock went down. They are all trying to figure out how to make things better.
Yes.
And creating for you, I guess, a more real life situation. And I don't know how you do that necessarily if you're an app, but anyway.
They're aware that it's an issue.
They are.
And so let's talk about some of the things that can happen on a dating app that you need to be aware of that don't necessarily happen the same in real life.
Well, ghosting, everybody has dealt with it. Just simply people, they don't want to see you again and they just don't give you a courtesy text. They just stop communication.
Yes. And I will tell you, I have a little bit of a behind the scenes look at this because I talk to clients who get ghosted and I also talk to clients who do the ghosting. And I am coaching them both about this because I'll give you an example of a guy that was in my office. He's in a long-term dating relationship and he was on the apps, not looking for someone, just looking to entertain himself, looking to engage, seeing if he could get someone to respond to him. He had no intention of ever meeting anyone in person. And I talked to him about the impact on the other side of that. Like to him, he's just having a good time and chatting it up with people, but these women are becoming interested in him. And he wasn't even thinking about the fact that someone's heart might be a little bit broken if he had been talking to them for a month and then he just completely disappears. The reason he disappeared is because he's not actually looking for a partner. He's just looking to entertain himself.
And the woman that he's dating, does she know?
No, she has no idea.
Oh my God. What happened to just going to a sleazy bar and talking to somebody?
We don't do that anymore. Apparently we just stay home in the privacy of our own basement and
swipe
people.
Swipe,
exactly.
Swipe.
And so the reason that you're getting ghosted may not have anything to do with you. Another thing that people do is that they sort of stack people up. So maybe I'm texting 4 different people and one of them is my best option, but I don't want to, lose the other 3. But then once I commit to the one, I don't need to text those 3 anymore. So what happened was I found someone else. It didn't have anything to do with something negative about those 3 people. I just found my person. And so I'm just going to disappear and not ever let them know what happened. This is just kind of cruel, actually. We don't think about it, but it's kind of mean.
Well, and it has caused a lot of people mental health problems.
Yes.
They are, and they're reticent. They stop trusting themselves. They begin to think it's about them.
Yep.
And it's an issue.
Yes.
So we say either side of it. If you are not wanting to see somebody, for crying out loud, just send them a nice text.
Let them know. Yes. The other thing is, it's not your job to be someone's dating coach, but if there's feedback you could give someone about why you didn't want to go out with them, then give them the feedback. I heard a segment on a radio show this morning, actually, where it was a pair that had gone out with one another, and one of them thought the date went great, but she never heard from the person again. Well, they got both of them on the phone, and the one said, we went to a movie. It was a really great movie. And she got up 3 times during the movie and came back smelling like smoke. And what that told me was that she was so addicted to cigarettes that she couldn't sit through a movie. And that was a deal breaker for me. And the woman had no idea that that's why she had been ghosted. So that would have been helpful feedback for her. When she got this feedback, now she's on the radio in front of thousands of people having this laundry aired to everyone. And if this person had just said to her, hey, this is a no-go for me, then the woman would have understood why the date didn't continue into a second date.
Oh, it's those stories are incredible. And there are so many of these stories that go with when people are behind a screen, they don't always act nice. And that's, again, our encouragement to move into real life situations as soon as possible. And I want to do a shout out here a little bit to the folks, the founders of a couple of these apps. So I'd like to do a shout out to Whitney Wolfe Herd. We'd love to have you on our show.
Bumble, yes, Whitney, come be on our show.
Her with Robyn Exton, and Hinge, Jackie Jantos. And so here's the challenge, so to speak, is that you guys are saying, hey, it's not the apps, it's you. You guys aren't doing a great job of using the apps. And we're saying, hey, you know what? We believe that you're partially right. We think that there is some truth to what you're saying, that people are misusing your product and not using it wisely. And we're kind of coming in the back end with some ideas and supporting that. And so any of you that want to come on our show, we'd love to interview you to hear more
from her. We would love for you to come on and talk about lesbian dating.
Yes, because we would love to hear what you are doing and what you think folks aren't doing that make their app experience worse.
Yes. And as Rachel, you said, we want to help people. We know the apps are there. We know people are using them, and we want to help you have a better experience on the apps. So in addition to ghosting, one of the app behaviors that I see that doesn't happen as much in real life is posing. You're posing as someone that you're not. And so this may not be full on catfishing, like, I'm a 65-year-old man pretending to be a 20-year-old woman. That's catfishing. Very bad behavior. Yeah, exactly. But posing is just presenting yourself, maybe taking a picture of yourself on a private plane, or superimposing yourself into a photo with someone that you weren't actually in the photo with, pretending to have a job that's not the job you really have. Things like that. You're just posing to be a better version of yourself. That's harder to pull off in real life. You could lie to someone about your job, but those things come to light much more quickly when you're talking to someone in real life.
They do. Yes, they do. Well, what do you think about what was the other one? There was another one that love bombing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Love bombing.
Yes. Love bombing. Oh my God. This happens so much with women. We want to get in there and get intimate, emotionally intimate, physically intimate. We want to dive in right away because women are naturally connectors. We want to make connections. And what happens is someone discloses something to us and we eat it up. We think it's amazing that they're so open, they're so honest. What you're not realizing is that's actually not intimacy. That is intensity, and it shows lack of boundaries. If someone is telling you about their childhood trauma on their first date, that person doesn't have good boundaries. No. And it happens all the time.
Well, I think we should give a teaser out for what we will be talking about on our next episode and remind everybody that we appear on Thursdays, Thursday morning.
And we're really excited about sharing our message about lesbian dating with the world. So we really want you to subscribe. Please leave us a review of our podcast. We want your honest reviews too. We know we're not doing this perfectly. We're brand new at this. So please give us your feedback, give us a review, and please share it with your friends.
And where should they share the information? And where should they give us feedback?
They should give us feedback at our email address, which is info@getdateable.com. And I just want to remind you, the word dateable has an E in the middle. It's the word date and the word able. So info@getdateable.com. So I do want to just kind of summarize what we've talked about today about how to be successful with app dating. The first thing is to make your profile attractive and genuine. Second thing, get in real life with the person as soon as you possibly can. Pay attention to who you're attracted to and differentiate that from who you find attractive. Those two things may not be exactly the same. And the last bit of advice that we have for you is choose wisely and screen heavily.
And our next episode is entitled She's Just a Friend, or Is She? Exes, Besties, and Blurred Lines, where we'll be discussing the classic ex as bestie phenomenon and sharing some info about having appropriate boundaries. This is a discussion that all good lesbians have some experience with.
Yes.
And before we sign off, Dr. Kyle, I would like to just apologize to all the Moniques out there that are really Moniques.
That's okay. We're telling positive and negative stories about Monique. She's our little prototype person who shall not be named.
Shall not be named. No.
That's right. Well, we want to thank you for listening to the Dateable AF podcast, where we help you find your happy ending.
And remember, be bold, be kind, and for the love of queer dating, don't text your ex.
Stay
dateable
AF.